We are live. Another CEO Wisdom podcast with Anna Barnacka with us here today. She is CEO of MindMics.com. Fascinating person, has a PhD, that's why we call her doctor, in physics. And she studied at Harvard too. Astronomy and astrophysics, fascinating stuff there. And we're going to have a conversation partly because of that, but also partly because MindMics is quite interesting. Is like earbuds that you put in, you can hear your own heart rate variability. I'm huge on heart rate variability, aka HRV. I have my Oura ring, I have my watch as a biohacker, and it's just amazing to reduce it and be more calm, to meditate on these things is quite amazing. And also for folks that Anna is helping here, if they have heart disease, to prevent bad stuff from happening and to be aware of what's happening also. So fascinating background. Anna, this podcast has been brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to a podcast, podpire.com is the way to go. Anna, welcome to the pod, to the CEO Wisdom pod. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about MindMics.
Thank you so much. My name is Anna Barnacka, and I'm the CEO and founder of MindMics. At MindMics, we invented new technology that allows us to have a new look at human body. We're not using sensors that all of the wearables are using that are based on the optical light. We're using sound. We're literally listening to the sound of human body, sounds that our ears cannot hear because our ears can only hear frequencies down to 20 hertz. So all of the voice, the music is somewhere between above 20 hertz to a few kilohertz. But below those 20 hertz that we don't hear because our brain, our ear cannot have to evolve in the way that we don't hear it. There's a whole symphony generated by every organ. And one of the loudest organs in our body is actually heart, that is pumping liters of blood every second. And those vibrations travel to the ear canal through multiple paths, where we pick them up in the ear canal using regular earbuds that people can also use to listen to music. So basically, we can turn well-designed earbuds, especially those with the noise cancellation, into a way to monitor health, but at the way that has the next level of accuracy that we validated with multiple clinical studies. So MindMics opens new window to look at our health, and we don't stop there at providing you data. This is where we begin. This is where our journey really begins, because for us, our goal is to provide actionable solutions, not only to give people information. We are overloaded with amount of information. We want to make it actionable. So this is where we're turning it into very short heart variability and the dashboard that can tell you in real time what is your physiological state and what to do about this.
Right. And the earbuds, can you actually listen to your heartbeat live, or are they more like just conductive on the app? Tell us a bit more about the actual product.
In terms of MindMics and listening, so number one, you can listen to your favorite music, and simultaneously MindMics is listening to the heart. And you can have all of the features of your favorite earbuds. And also we have our own earbuds. Actually, I have them here. They not only look like a regular earbuds, but actually function also as a regular earbuds. In terms of the way how we use the product, you can use them as a regular earbud. At the same time, we have a MindMics app. We call it MindMics Heart Health System, as that's something where we can make so much impact helping people improving their heart health. And you can use the app, and what you see is a dashboard. So we actually have a dashboard that can show you in real time heart rate, heart variability, and actually turning it into a gauge that can show you your autonomic nerve system, whether you are in that most efficient state called equilibrium, because we know the autonomic nerve system has two branches, has a sympathetic and parasympathetic branch, or the terms that are most likely or I usually use is rest and digest and fight and flight. But it's rare that we are one or the other. Majority of time, the most efficient state is that they both balance. And the way how MindMics is able to provide this dashboard that shows you whether you are in that more balanced state or going to fight and flight or rest and digest, or how we like to call it more alert state or calm, because there is a lot of great things actually about going toward the fight and flight. You can be there as long as you later find a way to recover. So the way how we do it, actually, our autonomic nervous system acts as a control center, which is adjusting heart rate, is adjusting heart variability, it's adjusting blood pressure, basically every second. And what is happening is when you're going more toward fight and flight, what's going to happen? Heart rate goes up because body has to heart has to deliver more oxygen, more blood. So heart rate goes up. But also what's happening, heart variability goes down. When you're going more toward the recovery state, is the opposite. Heart rate goes down, but heart variability goes up, because heart variability is a very interesting parameter that actually helps or is a sign of a recovery. And so we have this.
Why is it like more variable? Is like the heart A/B testing some rhythms to fix itself more, or varies in different recovery cycles?
Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of physiology behind that, actually, and I am astrophysicist, so I'm happy to explain that from the astrophysicist perspective. But the way how on my journey from astrophysics to actually understand how human body works and how to turn those metrics into something actionable, what we've seen is that the heart variability can change extremely fast. Actually, we can see the changes within 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So it's a huge indicator of how our body is responding. So actually, when you look at every heartbeat, and this is what's so interesting with MindMics and having system that can show you every heartbeat very precisely with those tiny differences from heartbeat to heartbeat, because then we really see if our body is responding to change, or if how our autonomic nervous system is adjusting different parameters. Because in principle, there are those changes from heartbeat to heartbeat. For example, when you inhale and when you exhale, there will be the stroke volume will change from heartbeat to heartbeat. Also, what's happening from the inhale to exhale, the level of oxygen or CO2 are changing, and those are sensed by our body and sent to the brain. So with each every second, there is a multum of information going to the brain. And more heart variability we see is the sign that the system is very well tuned and is adjusting to those changes. So each time there is oxygen level is decreasing, CO2 is decreasing. So actually it's happening literally in the one inhale or one exhale. We can start seeing those changes to heartbeat as well. The time between the heartbeats will increase, the stroke volume will change if you are very well tuned. So actually, by looking at the heart variability, we can see how well that system is tuned on, let's say, put it on the high level.
Right. So I guess the first reason for you to start this business, let's get to that reason. Like, what happened for you to go from academia to the startup world? I want to start that way.
So that was about 7 years ago. And when you look at my CV, there is, double PhD, I'm a NASA Einstein Fellow. So to get there, I work hard, extremely hard, I would say, day and night. And when you work for extended period of time without giving yourself a break, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out that you may face pretty soon a burnout. And I just got NASA Einstein Fellowship. I started feeling physically that I have to slow down. But when you have so much opportunities ahead of you, you don't slow down. I just moved to the US and was at Harvard, had those opportunities. So I thought, okay, since slowing down is not an option. So I thought, okay, let's figure it out. I was always using science to find the solution to the problems. How I could literally hug my body, hug my brain, and build a dashboard that could tell me, oh, now you have to slow down or and recover so you can continue and stay healthy for the very long time, and at the same time pursue all of those opportunities. So this is where I started looking at a lot of devices, wearables, started studying all of the medical devices to see what I could use. So I went through the phase of looking at the EEG, but that was not satisfactory because it's hard to imagine brain waves. And again, we cannot really use them. So it's hard to use it as a way to optimize, to take decisions that are actionable. Sure, it can help you with meditation to see that there is a change, but I needed something more, that when I go during the day, to truly understand what is good for my health and what isn't, because then you can make much better decisions and see what are the techniques that truly work and which one don't. So this is why I wanted to have the dashboard, and the technology, all of the wearables that were available on the market were not there, because they provide you a lot of information that later you can reflect, oh, you had a stressful day. But that's too late, isn't it? It was already stressful. I wanted to have something that in real time would tell me, oh, you're getting, yes, you're in the fight or flight, but that's okay, because then I know that, let's say 20 minutes later, I take 2 minutes of briefing and I'm fine. Or I know when to slow down and when to let my body to recover. So this is where, since all of the devices were not accurate enough, I thought, okay, I have all of those skills in building telescopes, in building the very complex systems. So why not to figure out something new? That what I have learned in astrophysics is that we always miss simple ideas. So I thought, okay, what did we miss in terms of monitoring our body? What are the signals that we are not fully utilizing? We using today the optical light to look at the tiny amount of blood flowing under the skin. fMRI, if you think about this, is also looking at the tiny changes in the amount of blood flowing to different parts of the brain as the demand is increasing to deliver the oxygen. So when you think about this, all of those techniques are looking at the blood flow. This is how we are able to measure a lot of different parameters. So I thought, okay, since there is so much blood flowing through our body, there must be other signals as well that we are not looking at. So this is where I thought, whenever you have such an amount of blood being or liquid being pushed, there is also sound, and why we don't hear it. So this is where I started working around the idea of most likely it's because it's below our hearing range. So this is where I started experimenting and then building the first prototype, and very quickly here you go. A lot of heartbeats that you can record it through the ear, and who would have thought?
Very interesting, very nerdy way to look at things, because I mean, I'm a biohacker too, so I'm a health nerd. When I feel that I'm about to burn out, so what are the symptoms? The question I have first, is it your gut not digesting fully? The stress, usually in my case, it's in the gut. It's that pinch in the heart, which is most likely cortisol hitting and adrenaline. Then what I do,
yes,
like what I do, I go with simpler solution. I don't tend to look at my heart rate. At some point, I think I have on my watch set up, if my heart spikes, and I never have any alert so far. So far, so good. I think that's the app for people, with heart problems. I meditate sometimes, but meditation, it's just that in our case, in us high performers case, we spend more than like 60 to 70% of our lives working, so the simplest hack that I found is just do something that I love, and be more aligned with that stuff and be less aligned with the stuff that stresses me out, aka managing employees that just think about themselves, or clients that are broke and just like keep on hassling me for whatever reason, put their stress on me, these are the solutions that I found. Obviously, diet is also a very recurring one. What I drink during the day. Diet, I really simplified it down, like 1 meal a day. So that's not rocket science. I don't need to think about what I'll eat 3 times a day. And then the liquids, so black coffee and a bunch of mixtures of teas and abundant water. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that you thought of this from a weird angle, like, oh, maybe if I can monitor my heart rate, like me, I'd say, oh, do you need to look at your heart rate to know that you're stressed? Probably not. But I think the argument here is that was your start. That was also a different angle. That was potentially a good commercial idea. And that could potentially help with people with heart problem. And what if there's a future in which you can sense that your heart rate is going up, and then you have this nanobot injecting something in you to calm you down? Maybe that would be a good advancement. Anyway, so what do you think about all that blabber? And then what symptoms also were you feeling with that? And then what's the potential cure? I suspect there's breath work in there.
Yes, and I think your journey and optimizing your decisions, actually, I ended up in very similar, with a lot of similar hacks as well. But I would say that the parts that were for me fascinating when I had, because over that period I had actually the device that would I could see the data. So actually heart rate itself is not telling much. Heart rate variability for me was actually the most actionable one, and at that time I knew my own baseline. And just to give few examples that were for me very surprising, when I was looking actually at the heart rate, heart variability, and how they were changing in the real time, was really seeing how some techniques that I would think they wouldn't work, or it's a lot of hype around them, and then actually seeing how huge impact they had on health. Because sometimes we kind of know what's good for us, but sometimes actually we don't. Sometimes we are in this anxious state a little bit, but so we keep doing it. But it's not hard, or we don't feel it anxious enough to stop doing those. So
or we feel it later, right? Like something that you did yesterday might have an impact on you tomorrow. That's a tricky one.
Actually, it's more. It's even more. So I went through a lot of aspects of meditation, and there is so many different kinds, and everyone is responding to it a little bit differently. And that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to have something that would tell me if I'm doing it right or wrong, because we don't really feel the change that much. You can feel a little bit calmer, but how subjective is that? Or it's quite subjective. I wanted to have an objective way, and I would never believe in things like mind-body connection. That's I'm a scientist. I need to have a hard evidence, and actually seeing that in the data was mind-blowing. So, for example, I saw it multiple times. I would have my phone with the dashboard open, and I would open some stressful email. And literally within the seconds, my heart rate would go up by 20 beats per minute, and HRV would go down. So then you start seeing actually how your thoughts, how quickly that loop, how fast that loop is. The same, then I just was listening to some song and just let myself, I lost myself in it. And again, within 30 seconds, my heart rate went down, HRV skyrocketed. Yeah. So then actually seeing how huge that impact is, because we're not talking here about 5 beats per minute in the heart rate, we're talking about 20 or even more. So when you see how huge that change is and how quick, then you think twice about being negative about things, because it's not just people saying that, oh, you don't, your thoughts impact you. When you have a real evidence, actually what it does to your vitals, then okay, I cannot be negative. That's it.
Yeah. Especially so if you're starting your journey and you don't have like much self-body consciousness, because for example, me, a stressful email, I know that it will put my heart rate up. The songs, I listen to music all day long. Every time I have a break between podcasts, it's music, music, music. Now, the stressful emails, have I gone deep enough? Probably not, because I haven't figured a solution to it. Maybe I can condition my brain that when I see this, and I had a stressful email yesterday, actually. Obviously, my heart has learned to deal with it. It's less severe than it was before. But yeah, I need to come up with a strategy. When I see this person name, like take a breath and don't give a shit, like in the end, it's just humans putting their stress on you. It's not your fault. And yeah, you need to be a catalyst to deal and put that good energy back in the world. What I like about that though is like, for beginners, it can help them understand these symptoms. But for advanced folk, it can also go really deep, I must guess, and it can potentially make correlations that I never be able to make myself, especially if I feed this data to ChatGPT, and especially the more I track. Imagine if I would have something that would track my screen and that would see that at that moment I opened the email mailbox and would tell me that, okay, when this happened, you got that way. When you had that conversation, you got that way. And then if it sees that it goes up, then it refers to me a breathwork or something, right?
And I like how you phrased it as a body consciousness, because it takes a lot of time to build such a thing. And usually, especially when we are so overstimulated with all of the information, social media, and we keep going, so it's very difficult to build that one. And what you just mentioned, it seems that what I use my device to figure it out, you already have those techniques as well, that you feel something, it's okay, stressful, you just take a breath. And again, except I can see that the simple breath, actually there's a technique called physiological sigh, and your heart rate goes down immediately. So it's there are those simple techniques that can counteract to the stress we experience. That yes, we cannot avoid stress. It's not the point of avoiding it, because to do great things, it takes a lot of stress. It takes a lot of hard work, and sometimes those are not pleasant. But it's all about that recovery and how to make sure that you bring yourself very quickly, and building that body being conscious of what body is doing, because it takes training. We are not born with that, or we lose that skill. And usually people do the meditation to gain that next level of consciousness. And some people, monks, spend decades of truly building that. One thing I love about martial arts is that also it helps you to build that body consciousness as well, but it takes a lot of time. So having the data, the way how I see it, having such a dashboard, is that you can accelerate on that path of understanding how our bodies are responding to things, and what works and what doesn't.
You're like very advanced in a lot of field. Like, where does that ambition come from? What were your parents like?
I think it goes back. I'm often asking myself that question. I definitely was born that way, with a lot of drive. Plus, also I'm originally from Poland. I grew up in Poland just after when there was a huge transition in the whole system, and definitely the world that I was born and I was growing up was very different from the world that my parents experienced. My parents grown up and spent their whole adult lives in the communistic country. I was born when the system was falling down, and then the borders opened. Poland joined European Union, and basically the whole world was open for me, and I wanted to take advantage of that. So definitely there is this historical drive that I had those possibilities, that they were open for me. And definitely they were not open to such a level to my parents. So definitely that's one aspect of the drive, and some people are just born that way, and one of them.
Do you feel you've been in your place, or that some people have tried to stop that growth since you're not from the US and you're a woman. And how did you deal with that?
There are always people that trying to stop you, but at some point you're just doing your thing. And if someone has a problem with that, it's their problem, not mine.
You just karate chop them. And that's it. In the throat. Preference for the throat. Astrophysics. Why did you get in there in the first place?
Actually, I studied physics. And then during that time, I also had the class in astronomy. And those classes involved going to the observatory. And this is where actually for the first time I experienced looking at the sky, through the big telescope, looking at the planets. And that was such a marvelous experience out of this world. And I thought that's something that I want to learn more about. And what was for me fascinating was that in a lot of aspects of physics, mathematics, it feels complete, that there is not much to discover. When you study astronomy, the first thing you hear in the first class is how much we don't know about the universe. We don't know actually what the universe is made of. We know that the matter, it's about a few percent of what's out there, and the rest is dark. We have dark matter, dark energy. So still the universe is a big puzzle, even though we learn so much about it and we keep learning. But for me, hearing about how much still is to be discovered, that was something that definitely triggered what was the right thing to do, and ambitious enough.
So your startup in the driver's seat, and I guess your passenger seat is astronomy nowadays. Is that like your hobby? Do you still have time to nerd out on this?
I wish I had more time for astronomy, but of course, when you build a startup, 200% of the attention has to go to it. I still do try to help other people that do similar projects that I was working on, and where my expertise, whenever I can share my expertise, share the ideas, I'm still trying to do that, mostly to help other people on their projects. I don't do the analysis myself anymore, but I'm trying to stay connected by sharing the beauty of the universe and what's out there in the way that is accessible to all, and but mostly through sharing it with other people and helping next generation if they have questions and guiding them.
And why didn't you choose to launch Rocket as a startup?
There already are startups like that.
There's already HRV startups out there.
HRV is only for us one parameter that we can do. There is so much more. We have a new technology, new way of delivering it, and this is just the beginning. This is just the first chapter of MindMics story that we deliver in the way that people already know how to use, but putting it a little bit notch higher, because all of the wearables today give you 5 minutes average or once per day. We do it every 20-30 seconds. So again, you're getting a little bit different insights. So this is where we start. And then we'll take off to places where other wearables cannot do it. So that's my rocket ship.
I agree with you. I very much think this is like chapter 1. It's like, well, the point 1 was out of the academia world. When you have that much talent, I think you'll max out so quick, in academia. I think you have such a big ceiling over your head. So I think it's pretty much torture. And I'm surprised you stayed that long in there, but yeah, quite bullish on your startup. What do you say to folks that say that we should focus on stuff on planet Earth before launching rockets and be in exploration mode?
I absolutely believe in exploration. As astrophysicist, I stay so long in academia because there is so much to explore. There is still so much that we don't know, and when you think about the way how I think about going to different planets, going to doing that exploration, it's not about immediate profit. For me, it's about ambition. As a human species, we always think about what is the next impossible thing. And it sounds impossible. We don't have technologies to do it, but then we do it anyway. And I think this is what is so incredible about humankind, that we come up with those ambitious topics, and they sound crazy. But to answer your question, I think we need that. We need that inspiration, because this is driving the innovation across all the disciplines, across all the fields and all the markets as well. And we need that. That's what feeds our souls as humans.
I agree. Yeah, it's creativity, and I still think that Berks should invest at least 500 million a year in launching rockets, because apparently it's raining diamonds on Jupiter.
Jupiter is quite far, but definitely we should have ambitious goals. And there's still so much to discover on the planet. There is so much that we don't know about the human body. That's why for me this is so fascinating, that yes, there's a lot still we don't know about the universe, but there's even more we don't know about our own human body and how it works. And we don't have to launch the rocket to discover something new. There is literally inside us, there is a whole universe that is still waiting to be discovered. Even when you look at the hardware variability on the short timescales, I see so many things and I cannot see the literature that would explain that. So we just scratching the surface of how our own body works. Because today, when you think about this, we only use very precise equipment to measure human body only in the cases when people are very sick. You will only use fMRI, you will use cardiac catheterization when there is a huge problem, because it's very expensive. It's risky as well. When you do the invasive procedures, always the benefit has to outweigh the risks. So you don't do it on healthy individuals. So when it comes to how even cardiovascular diseases are developing, we don't know that, because we only have the data when the heart fails. So we start just scratching the surface of how our body works and how to build the preventive and tools. So I'm super excited about all the discoveries ahead of us.
Same here.
And
MindMics
is a tool to be able to tell us more, because we have that accuracy.
And I'll be supporting you guys. I'm really bullish on the startup. What's next for you this year? There's 4 months remaining, and what does the future look like?
It looks very exciting. Soon we will be launching actually our app to Apple Store, so you'll be able to enjoy the dashboard. We will be launching the app that will be able to connect either to MindMics earbuds. We will only have a very limited edition of our earbuds, but to let people try for themselves and what hardware variability looks like in those short time scales, we also will be launching it with one of the polar straps as well, which are widely available. So in this way, you can try the dashboard even if you cannot yet get our MindMics earbuds. But in the meantime, we have also a few exciting partnerships that will add MindMics Inside features inside other earbuds as well. And there is more exciting things ahead of us as well. And we invite all of the earbud brands and manufacturers to come to us. We want to add MindMics technology to all of the earbuds, hearing aids, to enable that new level of analytics to help us better manage our health and truly get the new level of understanding how it works and how we can build better tools that will empower us all.
Good job. Where can people find out more about MindMics and about you, Anna?
The easiest way is to go to mindmics.com, and we have a whole section about our product, as well a little bit about myself, but also we just launched a new series of blogs where we're trying to describe our technology, also talking about hardware variability and how we can use a MindMics technology, MindMics user experience to dive deeper into our health and well-being.
Right. And I'm Charles Cormier, your host, CEO Wisdom Podcast. You want to start, scale, or be invited to podcast, that is podbuyer.com. Thank you so much.